On May 9, 2025, the world witnessed a stark juxtaposition in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, highlighted by President Vladimir Putin's Grand Victory Day parade in Moscow, attended by global leaders including China's President Xi Jinping. This year's event marked the largest celebration of its kind in years and served as a potent reminder of Russia's historical narrative and ambitions. At the same time, Ukraine revealed the discovery of a spy ring allegedly linked to Hungary, underscoring the complex web of espionage and geopolitical maneuvering that characterizes the current landscape. The Victory Day parade commemorating the Soviet Union's triumph over Nazi Germany featured over 11,500 troops and 180 military vehicles, an impressive display of military might that Putin used to rally domestic support amid ongoing hostilities in Ukraine. The attendance of Xi Jinping, who has been perceived as a neutral party since the onset of the conflict, suggests a significant shift in China's posture, as noted by security and defense analyst Professor Michael Clark. "This isn't official, coming off the fence on the Ukraine war," he remarked, highlighting the implications of Xi's presence for international perceptions of the conflict. During this pivotal moment, European foreign ministers convened in Lviv, aligning their efforts to support Ukraine. Among their resolutions was a call for a special tribunal to prosecute Russian leaders for the crime of aggression, an initiative that underscores the international community's determination to hold Moscow accountable for its actions. UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy emphasized the gravity of the situation, stating that the tribunal would ensure that those responsible for the aggression against Ukraine are held accountable. "Freedom will prevail," he declared, sending a clear message to the Kremlin. The backdrop to these developments was a 3-day ceasefire declared by Putin to coincide with the Victory Day celebrations. However, reports indicated that Russian forces continued to launch attacks, with Ukraine's military documenting 80 frontline assaults on the day of the ceasefire. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy noted that both the US and Europe were unified in their calls for a full ceasefire, expressing hope for a lasting cessation of hostilities. "If Russia continues to drag out the war, we will need stronger sanctions," he warned, underscoring the urgency of the situation. Amidst these military and diplomatic maneuvers, tensions escalated further with the expulsion of 2 alleged spies from Hungary by its government, which dismissed Ukraine's claims of a Hungarian spy network as propaganda. Peter Szijjártó, Hungary's foreign minister, urged caution regarding Ukrainian reports, indicating the ongoing struggle for narrative control between the nations involved. As the war grinds on, the significance of international alliances and the historical context of World War II loom large in discussions about strategy and support for Ukraine. Andrius Kubilius, the European Commissioner for Defense and Space, highlighted 5 critical errors the West must avoid, drawing lessons from history. He warned against insufficient aid to Ukraine, misidentifying aggressors and victims, and the dangers of recognizing territorial occupations or denying Ukraine NATO membership. His comments serve as a stark reminder of the potential consequences of miscalculation in the face of aggression. Looking ahead, the international community remains entrenched in discussions about future support for Ukraine, with Zelenskyy preparing to host a coalition of the willing meeting aimed at fortifying alliances. The atmosphere is charged with urgency as leaders navigate a path forward amid a backdrop of military posturing and diplomatic negotiations. The interplay of power, history, and strategy will continue to shape the conflict, and the world watches closely as developments unfold. In a significant turn of events amid the ongoing Ukraine-Russia conflict, recent reports indicate that Russia has redeployed over 280 missile systems to secure Moscow's extravagant Victory Day parade, which commemorated the 80th anniversary of the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany. This strategic move has inadvertently exposed vulnerabilities in Russia's defense, as Ukrainian forces have noted gaps resulting from this redeployment. The parade, attended by world leaders including China's President Xi Jinping, marked a display of military might, with over 11,500 troops and 180 military vehicles participating, underscoring Moscow's intent to project strength amidst international scrutiny. Ukrainian officials have taken advantage of the situation with reports emerging of intensified combat on the front lines. Specifically, Ukrainian forces have successfully repelled multiple waves of Russian mechanized assaults near Avdiivka, reportedly destroying at least 12 tanks and 8 infantry fighting vehicles in the process. This ongoing engagement highlights the tenacity of Ukrainian troops even as Russia attempts to showcase its military capabilities on the international stage. While the parades and military displays were underway, significant diplomatic activities were also taking place. European foreign ministers convened in Lviv to endorse the establishment of a special tribunal to prosecute Russian leaders for acts of aggression in Ukraine. UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy emphasized that the tribunal would serve as a crucial mechanism for accountability and deterrence against future aggression. A strong tribunal for the crime of aggression can, and must, make any potential aggressor think twice, he stated, echoing sentiments shared by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Zelenskyy, for his part, expressed optimism regarding a proposed 30-day unconditional ceasefire supported by both the US and European nations. He underscored the importance of unity among allies in pressuring Russia to accept the ceasefire as a pathway to lasting peace. "We are uniting as many countries as possible to ensure this pressure for the sake of peace, is effective," Zelenskyy remarked, indicating a shift towards a more collaborative approach among Western powers. As the diplomatic landscape evolves, the ongoing conflict continues to demonstrate a dual narrative of military engagements and strategic maneuvering. Russia's recent military parade and the associated security measures illustrate its desire to project power and resilience. However, the logistical strains of redeploying significant missile systems have opened new avenues for Ukrainian counteroffensives. The juxtaposition of military displays with ongoing battlefield realities reveals a complex dynamic where appearances may not necessarily match operational effectiveness. In the broader context of the conflict, Ukraine's integration of advanced military technology, including Starlink-powered naval drones, has further transformed the nature of warfare in the region. These unmanned systems are redefining maritime engagements in the Black Sea, showcasing Ukraine's ability to conduct precision strikes against Russian targets without risking personnel. This technological evolution is emblematic of the changing face of modern warfare, where drones and unmanned systems are increasingly pivotal. As both sides navigate the pressures of warfare and international diplomacy, the coming weeks will be crucial in determining the trajectory of the conflict. Will Russia's military show of strength translate into strategic advantage, or will Ukraine's resilience and innovative tactics continue to challenge Russian dominance? The answers to these questions may redefine not only the fate of Ukraine but also the geopolitical landscape in Europe for years to come. The world watches closely as these developments unfold, highlighting the enduring complexities of modern conflict. In a dramatic display of solidarity, Chinese President Xi Jinping joined Russian President Vladimir Putin to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany during a grand parade in Moscow's Red Square. This event, held on May 9, 2025, not only celebrated historical triumphs but also served as a strategic platform for both leaders to reinforce their alliance amidst escalating tensions with the United States. As the parade unfolded under heightened security following recent Ukrainian drone attacks on Moscow, thousands of Russian troops marched in formation accompanied by military units from China and 12 other countries. The presence of Xi, a significant diplomatic gesture, bolstered Putin's attempts to project an image of strength and unity on the global stage, particularly as he faces an arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court for alleged war crimes in Ukraine. China will work with Russia to shoulder the special responsibilities of major world powers, Xi stated, emphasizing the importance of their partnership. In a joint statement, both leaders vowed to deepen military and economic ties, aiming to firmly counter what they termed as the United States policy of dual containment. This rhetoric reflects a growing alignment between the two nations, particularly as they navigate their respective challenges with Western powers. Experts have noted that the relationship has significantly solidified during the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Alexander Gabuth, director of the Carnegie Russia-Eurasia Center, remarked. There was a very clear message that this alignment can really not be split. The timing of the parade coincides with critical U.S.-China trade talks set to begin shortly after Xi's departure from Russia. These discussions follow the imposition of steep tariffs by the Trump administration and come at a time when both nations are grappling with economic pressures. Trump has suggested a potential easing of tariffs, but analysts remain skeptical about immediate outcomes. The Economist Intelligence Unit warned that while dialogue might resume, substantial disagreements over tariff rates and concessions will likely persist. The commemoration also drew international attention and criticism. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy had urged world leaders to boycott the event, arguing that attendance would undermine neutrality in the ongoing conflict. Despite this, several leaders, including Brazil's Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, attended, emphasizing their desire for peace while navigating complex diplomatic waters. Lula conveyed to NBC News that his stance on the Russian occupation remains critical, asserting that Brazil seeks a peaceful resolution. As the ceremony concluded, the atmosphere in Moscow reflected a blend of nationalism and militarism, with streets adorned in the orange and black colors of the St. George ribbon, a symbol of Russian military pride. Billboards linked the historical victory to Putin's ongoing military actions in Ukraine, underscoring the narrative that Russia continues to champion its role as a defender against perceived Western aggression. Looking forward, as Xi departs for discussions in Switzerland, the geopolitical landscape remains fraught with uncertainty. The outcomes of the upcoming U.S.-China trade talks and the ongoing situation in Ukraine will undoubtedly shape the future dynamics of international relations. Both nations appear poised to navigate a challenging terrain where diplomacy, economic pressures, and military considerations intertwine. As the world watches, the implications of this strengthened Sino-Russian partnership will reverberate far beyond the borders of their respective countries. In a significant escalation of diplomatic efforts surrounding the ongoing war in Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy recently underscored the urgency of achieving a lasting ceasefire, framing it as a critical step towards peace. During a national address on May 8, Zelenskyy stated a ceasefire lasting and reliable will be a real indicator of movement toward peace. America can help with this. The world needs America now, just as it did 80 years ago. His remarks come amidst a backdrop of intensified hostilities, with the Ukrainian leader calling for American support to exert pressure on Russia for the sake of a peaceful resolution. The context for Zelenskyy's plea is stark. In the hours following a self-declared Russian ceasefire coinciding with Victory Day celebrations, Ukraine reported a staggering 734 attacks attributed to Russian forces. This blatant disregard for the ceasefire highlights the challenges facing diplomatic efforts, with Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha labeling the situation a farce. The Russian military's aggressive actions during a purported ceasefire not only undermines trust but also raises questions about the Kremlin's commitment to genuine peace negotiations. In a recent conversation with former U.S. President Donald Trump, Zelenskyy discussed the necessity of a 30-day unconditional ceasefire as a precursor to any meaningful dialogue. Trump emphasized that should this ceasefire not be respected, the United States and its partners would impose further sanctions on Russia. Such measures are seen as essential not only for maintaining pressure on Moscow but also for demonstrating a united front among Western allies. Zelenskyy's administration is keenly aware of the need for a strategic approach, balancing military readiness with diplomatic overtures. We must work together to bring peace, he asserted, referencing the importance of international cooperation in rebuilding Ukraine, which has suffered extensive damage from Russian strikes. As Zelenskyy stated, this life must be protected and restored, underscoring the dual imperative of defense and diplomacy. The geopolitical ramifications of these developments are profound. As Ukraine continues to face military aggression, it has garnered support from various international players, including European partners. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, in a recent dialogue with Trump, expressed solidarity with Ukraine and support for a coordinated European effort to end the war. Meanwhile, the UK government has taken decisive action by imposing sanctions on Russian oil tankers, further isolating Moscow economically. Looking ahead, the upcoming meeting in Ukraine, dubbed the Coalition of Willing Leaders, aims to consolidate support for Kyiv's efforts. Zelensky's call for a united international response to the conflict is crucial, as it reflects an understanding that a multifaceted approach, combining military, economic, and diplomatic strategies, is necessary to achieve lasting peace. As the situation evolves, the question remains whether Russia will demonstrate a genuine commitment to de-escalation. The international community watches closely, recognizing that the path forward will require not only strategic military responses but also a concerted effort to foster diplomatic engagement. With Zelensky's proactive stance and the backing of allies, there exists a glimmer of hope that a negotiated peace may yet be within reach, contingent upon the actions of all parties involved.